Hello, students. In this video, we'll go over the different sources of information that you will find in the social studies test and the types of questions you can expect from this information they're giving you. First, let's go over some of the details about the test. The test has 60 multiple choice questions. You will have 70 minutes to complete it, which gives you a little over a minute per question. It may sound like too little time, but don't worry, it can be done. On this slide, I'm showing a list of the subjects covered or categories and the percentage of the questions on each category. History is 35%, civics and government is 35%, so these two areas weigh heavier on the test. Then 20% of the questions are in economics and 10% on geography. You will need to demonstrate your ability to comprehend, restate, summarize, and draw inferences based on the information the test gives you. Don't worry, you will not have to recall everything you have ever learned about social studies, and you will rely on what you already know about important social studies concepts and events and combine this information with the facts or information given you in the question. What kind of information would they give you? Well, let's go over the types of information. First, political cartoons. These cartoons are on current events at the time they were published. They usually represent different points of view in different historical issues or events. In this example of the cartoon, three women are riding a steamroller labeled Progress. It is about the fight for women's right to vote. You will be asked to interpret it and draw conclusions and make inferences. Now, the second type is maps. Maps can be of different kind depending on the information they convey. They may have information like elevation of a terrain, political divisions like country or state borders, theme maps showing information like resources, crops, roads, climate, statistics like election results, population, etc. Again, the test will ask you questions on the interpretation of the map. And we will cover maps in more detail on the geography modules later in this semester. Third is graphs. Graphs are also an important part of the test because, as you know, they can convey a lot of data in a way that is simple and easy to understand. At a glance, you can get a good idea of what the numbers are saying. Graphs can be in all sections of the test, not just in the economics. Again, you will be asked to understand the graph, answer questions, draw conclusions, make inferences based on that information. We'll go over the types of graphs in the next slide. Lastly, we have passages, and these are simply texts that could be from different sources like political speeches, news articles, editorials, historical accounts, etc. Again, you don't need to memorize too much information to answer the test questions, but rather you need good reading comprehension skills to understand the information, summarize it, draw conclusions and make inferences, understand the author's reasoning, understand the new words, sources of information, etc. In the rest of this module, we will review these reading comprehension skills. However, we will continue to apply them throughout all modules of the class: history, civics, government, economics, and geography. Before we go on, let's review the common types of graphs that you may see on the test. First, you have bar charts, which can organize information using labels like months, days, names, regions, etc., and values. Each bar represents one label, and the height of the bar represents the value of that label. The higher the bar, the higher the value. The value can be read on the vertical axis. At a glance, it will give you, or it will tell you which bar is higher or lower and by approximately how much. Bar charts can also be horizontal. The labels go on the vertical axis and the values on the horizontal. The author should use the style that best suits the data. For example, if the data has a long list of labels, the horizontal bar will probably work best. Stack bars show more than one set of data. In this example, you see two colors, blue and red. Each color is a different set of data. However, the chart actually shows three sets: the blue, the red, and the combination of both, the total. A circle chart or pie chart shows a whole is divided into parts. The size of each slice is proportional to the amount it represents, and each slice may be presented as percentages, fractions, or a total number. So to understand a chart, regardless of its type, Always start by reading the title, then the labels on the axis, and finally the key or legend. This will give you a good idea of what the chart is conveying. On our math class, you will go over charts in more detail. Please let me know or refer to the math sections of your books if you need more information. Now, some questions will be based on two different sources of information, like a graph and a passage. So you will need to answer questions from both sources of information and make conclusions and inferences from both. Well, we went over 4 different types of information sources you will find in the test. We reviewed the different graph types that you will see, and the rest of this module, we will review the comprehension skills you need and will use throughout the class. Let me know if you have any questions. Goodbye.